Senator, good to see you again.
My pleasure.
We just had the acting comptroller on here a moment ago, and he says that, listen, I'm ending the state's HUB program, historically underutilized business program. It's only going to be for veterans now who have disabilities, no longer for women and minorities. Can he do that?
I don't think he can, to be honest with you.
It's in statute, right?
Well, it's a law, and it's something called separations of powers. The legislative branch of government is responsible for, passing laws. The executive branch is responsible for implementing those laws, not deciding whether or not those laws should exist or not. And it appears that that's what he's attempting to do here.
So the acting comptroller says we're doing this under emergency rules. Is that a way around it?
No. I mean, rules are rules, statutes are statutes. And so we're looking at the actions that he's taken thus far to see whether or not they're legal. And if they're not, then, we'll apprise him as such and see whether or not he agrees. And if not, then we'll get it resolved.
Well, that was my next question. Is this something that might end up in court, end up in legal action? Do you expect?
I'm hoping that it doesn't. I think that this is what I want to say, Jason. All of the press that's come as a result of his interview with you, he's being quoted as, or people are saying that this is a DEI program, okay? This is not a quota program. You got to understand, this program was put in place under President Bush, who was governor at the time. So he would never have passed a quota program. It's a good faith program. And if people just sit back, take a look at it, you'll see that it's about trying to do away with racism. The fact is that you look at the facts, and you'll see prior to the implementation of this program that mostly all the contracts are going to Anglos in the state of Texas. And so what we put in statute on a bipartisan basis was a program that said you use good faith. You use good faith to make certain that women, Hispanics, African American, Asians, African Americans, all get an opportunity to participate. It doesn't guarantee you an opportunity to participate. It says you get the opportunity.
These agencies need to make a good faith effort to consider their bids, right? I mean, that's
right.
That's what I think what the statute actually
That's
says.
exactly right.
If the HUB program goes away like the acting comptroller wants, do you think it's going to revert back to 1995 when there were disparities in state contracting, when women and minorities were not getting state contracts?
I would hope not, okay? All of us want a colorblind society, but again, we're not there yet, all right? So it's gonna be real interesting with all of this anti-DEI stuff in terms of higher education. And we should be able to start measuring it now as to whether or not it's had an adverse impact on students of color that were involved in those programs getting into colleges now, okay? So we'll be able to measure it. But I don't want to wait 4 and 5 years to try to measure it because the damage would have been done. If we can turn around and have a colorblind society, all of us want that. But there's a lot of laws in Texas that need to be changed. Let me give you one. When you begin to look at discrimination, all right, whether it's a discrimination or reverse discrimination, if you have a state agency that discriminates against someone and that person wants to file a lawsuit, what the Attorney General does is file a plea to jurisdiction, and then the case is appealed because they normally lose. And then it takes the appellate courts about 3 or 4 years on an average to get to it, to reverse, to get to the plea of jurisdiction. And they normally side on the side of the plaintiff, and the plaintiff then has to go back to court 3 or 4 years later, so they don't get a timely day in court in order to deal with those issues. If we were to look at changing some of those things, we could become much closer to developing a colorblind society that's not based on race. And if a person feels as though they've been aggrieved, then they should be able to have an expedited consideration of the complaint.
So when you saw what the acting comptroller, Kelly Hancock, said, did you get on the phone with somebody? Did you guys start looking at what he said about the rule that he wants to implement in the state register?
We're looking at it right now. Because I didn't find out about the emergency rules until yesterday, even though I've been asking for a meeting with him.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett has a big announcement on Monday.
She does.
If she decides that she's going to run for U.S. Senate, that will open up her seat in District 30. I know you've flirted with, thought about Congress in years past. Is that something you'd be interested in?
The reality is, no, to answer the question. I'm not interested in it because I think that we've got to get another generation of leaders coming forward. I've been serving as state senator for 32 years. I don't feel no ways tired, but we've got to develop other leaders. I won't be one of those going to Congress.
Who would run for it, do you think?
Whoa, good question.
Who are some names?
See, there's some good people out there. I'll just leave it at that. I heard Jason
Wheeler, not Jason Whiteley. Are there names being talked about? I mean, are there people?
Sure, their names are being talked about, yeah.
Are there people in the background looking at? I mean, if she announces just before filing deadline, which is Monday evening, someone else has got to announce pretty quick, right? Unless the governor would step in, if right?
Well, you got a couple of things at play right here. You still have that redistricting lawsuit at play, also.
What the Supreme Court will do with the maps?
Right, whether they will stay the ruling, or whether they will allow the ruling to go into effect, and the previous maps would be the ones that we run on, and I don't know whether that impacts Jasmine's decision or not. And so you have that at play. So you got a lot of different variables at play in this situation. And before it settles, all the dust settles on December 8th.
Do you expect we'll have a new member of Congress from District 30 in Texas?
If she runs, yes, there'll be a new one.
As it stands today, what would you?
As it stands today, again, the wild card is what Jasmine's going to do.
Yeah, what she decides.
Yeah, I mean, so we don't know.
Yeah. Senator, good to see you again. I appreciate the time.
Nice seeing you also. Season's greetings.